Do you have something inspiring to say? Have you always known that your voice can contribute to the world? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. The world is waiting for you. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. Today, we have an inspiring guest who is ready to share their voice with the world. Now, onto the show.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Welcome, everyone. It is Monday morning here in Canada. That's where I am, and today we begin our week of amazing radio shows, and I get to kick it off with the Open Mic Spotlight Show. This is a show where we completely showcase one individual. We look at everything all about them, and we just shine the light on what they're doing and being and creating in the world, where they came from, what they've done since then, and where they see themselves going in the future. If that sounds interesting to you and you would like to be interviewed by myself on the Open Mic Spotlight Show, please connect with me at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. So today, our unique guest is Nicole Lellek. Nicole Lellek was born in Germany in 1973, where she still resides. Having growing up in a quiet, conflicted family, which could barely hold together, Nicole learned at an early age how important it is to read between the lines and how to best balance opposite opinions and lifestyles. This led to a growing curiosity about how people create their lives. This curiosity led her, after a long stay in a business consulting firm, to her profession as a headhunter, recruiting executive for a blue-chip company. Talking to very many people daily about how they create their career always was exciting for Nicole and still is. However, working on the global playground of careers and job opportunities still was not enough. And so Nicole decided that coaching would be a great add. So we have Nicole. Now today, Nicole has consulted thousands of people in regards to their career and personal growth, and she is taking her life a step further in her own radio show called Spiritual Adventures. Nicole shares for the first time publicly about her life as being a psychic in a mainstream reality and how everybody can use psychic abilities in a way that is beneficial to living a life of self-empowerment. So, welcome, Nicole Lellek.
Hello, Christine. How are you?
Great. I am so excited for today's show because I know a little bit about you, but I'm wagering a big guess that there's a lot more about you I haven't learned as yet.
Yeah, I guess so. And I was so entertained when I read all about herself and was like, I thought we had 1 hour only, but okay.
Well, Nicole, it is, I heard you say earlier as we were getting prepared for the show that it is a sunny day there in Germany where you still reside.
Yeah, or reside again, because actually I lived a couple of years in Switzerland. That was my abroad experience, as I always called it, because I learned, as I deal with careers every day, you have to stay abroad for a while. And so in my mid-30s, I had the idea, oh, well, let's go abroad for a while. So I ended up in Switzerland for 3.5 something years, and then I returned to Germany. And so I reside in Germany again since 6 years or so.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the very beginning.
Wow, that's my birth.
Yeah. We're just doing this lifetime though, so we won't do other lifetimes. We'll just do this one. So you were born where in Germany?
I was born pretty much on the countryside, in the very western part of Germany, so 20 minutes drive to the Netherlands. And so it was a quiet spot, 60,000 inhabitants, more or less, but calculating with all the villages around, so it looked smaller. And still, I think the number is fake. Sorry, dear people from my hometown. Anyway, and so I grew up as an only child to a rather interesting family I chose for sure. because I chose a family which was based on polarity. So we had money against no money, one political party against the other political party, Catholic faith against Protestant faith. And so that created a lot of confliction in a very rural environment. And I remember very clearly when I was 6 years old, I was like, I want to get out of here.
Really?
Yeah,
oh
and I also remembered that I once asked my mother if I really chose the right family. I remember that very clearly, and she was totally shocked because honestly, I felt like an alien. Yeah, it was like
really?
I don't belong here.
I wonder how many other people actually feel that way, but never had the nerve. So you obviously had the nerve at a very young age to ask.
At a very young age, and maybe that's my adrological. 1, 2, 3. I need more coffee. So my astrology, because I'm a Taurus, and they known for very straightforward and very down to earth and very pushy, and so I was that as a child. Yeah, so even from childhood days, and though my parents and especially my mother tried to control me very much, and in very many parts she succeeded, while in others she didn't. It was always very, very interesting. Yeah.
Wow. So were your parents? You grew up in the country. Were your parents farmers, or what did they do?
No. My mother was working in the household. She didn't work much until I was 15. My father worked in the local town hall, so he actually was, and I guess he still is, somebody dealing with finance very well. Yeah, so he was basically taking care of the finance of the town, along with one superior he had. So he has made quite a career in the local community. And so I also remember, because I grew up in a very politically active household, that I went in and out the town hall like very normal. For me, it was totally normal.
Okay, what's town hall?
So where the mayor resides? Well, how do you call that?
Oh, I see. No, it's
maybe you have a different word.
No, my brain just went blank. But sometimes when people use the same words, it means something different. So yes, so the town hall, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, that's what it was. Yeah. And no farmers. My grandparents from my mother's side, they have been doing farming. But that was way before my birth. Yeah.
I see. Okay, cool. So you grew up was there anything unusual about your schooling for you personally, or was that maybe a place where you actually were able to be more of you?
Not at all. Not at all.
No?
It was the worst place to be in. Because you have to know, Christine, I grew up being a psychic without knowing what being psychic is. Yeah. And from as far as or as long as I can remember, I saw figures and shades. I saw more than other people saw. I could always hear very well. My hearing still works until today. It's getting better day by day. And all my neighbors are annoyed by me because I really heard literally everything in the whole house. And nobody can believe that, but it really, I have an exceptional hearing. And I was always a weird kid, something very different. I was telling and writing stories at a very early age, so and for me it was totally normal. What I didn't know is, and I found out actually many years later, is that I was channeling as a child. Yeah, so I was channeling stories from other places, from other dimensions, from other planets, you name it. And I didn't know what I was doing, yeah. Wow. I was always the kid with weird stories, yeah. I was just very well connected.
Nicole, very well connected. That should be your tagline.
Get connections.
Okay.
And, yeah, so when I was in the first grade, I learned writing very quickly. Yeah, for me it was so easy. It was like in a couple of weeks I learned writing, and I started writing stories. And I remember that my teacher, she was so happy that I was writing a little story, and she was so proud of me, so that she showed it everybody in the class, and she was proud of me, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and everybody in the class hated me. And so I was a weird kid forever.
Isn't it so much fun? Like, we do something where the adults that we're supposed to be getting approval from likes us, and then all the kids hate us. It's like you can't win, right?
Yeah, you can't win because at home it was the other way around. Yeah. So I was writing and I was ridiculed by my parents. Yeah. And I went back to school. Everybody from the teacher's side, and they were like, "Hooray! Finally, you're a creative kid." And all the other kids, where you would expect, "Hey, let's be creative," they were like, "I hate her." And so it was totally twisted.
Nice. How lovely is that? Oh my gosh. So when you went to high school, Nicole, did you leave that little village area, or were you still in the same area?
No. I left the area where I was growing up when I went to university. And so that was at age 19. And that's also something I can remember very well, because the first semester I was driving back and forth, and it took me 2 hours one way. And so after 6 months, I was like, okay, that has to finish. And so I went to the university administration asking them if they could help me. And in fact, they could. And half an hour later, I had an apartment, and for a very affordable price even. And so I went back home, and I was like, I have great news. And they were like, okay, did you get a good mark? Yes, I also got a good mark, but I have even better news. I move out. And my mother was next to crying.
Oh, really?
And then she was like, I have to get out of here. And so she went to the neighbor, and she was like, she's coming back so happy and say that she's leaving me. I can't have her see me cry. And I was like, what?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So you moved out when you were 19, and you started to really move into the world in a new way.
Yeah. And that was this. Yeah, and then starting being me, you know. So I grew up under close supervision of my mother. Looking back, I understand why she did that. But when you grow up, you don't see that. Yeah, you just feel very controlled.
Right.
And
so was this her way of protecting you?
Yeah, my mother buried a lot of her own dreams, and especially when it came to creativity. I was a very creative child, and so not only writing, but dancing and painting, and you name it. You could give me like 3 little things, and I made you something completely new. And she was a very creative herself. So she had a beautiful voice when she was younger. She could actually sing operas. And so she was always told that she couldn't do that. Yeah, it's not acceptable, and you won't succeed, etc. And she literally loved her voice. And when I was 5 years old, to do her a favor, I did the very same. I couldn't sing for years, for decades even.
Wow.
And so her way controlling me was her way of saying I love you, but also I protect you, not going some wrong way, but rather succeed in a way that is socially acceptable because I was different. Yeah, and safe and protected and very streamlined. Right. And I always called it mainstream reality for a reason, yeah? Just fit in the middle of the road, yeah? Don't stick out, and then that's, yeah.
Instead of call it mainstream, we should call it middle stream, right? Just middle
stream, mainstream, whatever stream, as long as it flows.
Exactly. Oh my God. And this conversation is flowing fast. We're already on to our first break of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, well, we got Nicole to 19. So when we come back after this break, we're going to dive into the next segment of her life. And I've got some questions for her that are a little bit different. So please stick around. We're going to learn more about Nicole Lellek here on the Open Mic Spotlight Show. You are listening with us, and myself, Christine McIver, will be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Many of us chose to lose our interest in play and adventure when we were told to finally grow up. What if play and adventure were exactly the parameters we needed to create more than we ever imagined possible? By tuning into Spiritual Adventures radio show with psychic intuitive and life adventure coach Nicole Lellek, you'll receive tools and inspiration to create your life based on exactly that, fun and adventure. Consider this your personal invitation. Listen for Spiritual Adventure Radio Show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Central European Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. You are with us today on the Open Mic Spotlight Show, and my guest today is none other than Nicole Lellek. Nicole is actually a host here on the network as well, and her show is called Spiritual Adventures. And just before, in our first segment, actually, we were talking all about Nicole right from her birth up to 19 years of age. So now, Nicole, you are out in the world. You're going to university. You're no longer at home full time. So tell me something. As the 19-year-old Nicole steps out into the world, what is inspiring you at the time?
Parties. Parties. To be honest with you, parties. So why is that? As I told you, I have been brought up under close supervision of my mother, and going out and going to parties, first of all, it was very boring in the place I grew up and in town I grew up, so nothing exciting at all. And also, as my father was working in the local administration of the town, he had a lot of friends, and I also grew up in a town which was on the transit for drug traffic. Yeah, and and he knew about all that because the drugs were transported from the Netherlands, where they usually were produced, straight through our town to you name it. Yeah. And so when I grew up, the town I grew up was on the surface very boring, but had some underlying dark spot, which was actually drug traffic. And so a lot of drugs were dealt in the local pubs and clubs, etc. And my mother didn't really want me to go there, yeah, because again she was trying to protect me and not really trusting me, yeah. Either. And so when I was moving to university, I had to do some parties, yeah, and some parties more. And so that opened up the club world for me, to be honest with you. And also I moved to a town for my study, which is known as a good party town. And yeah, so I was studying during the day and partying at night.
Okay. And
but I guess what you do, huh?
And how did that work out?
Very well, actually. And very well. Because I am a person who can handle a lot of things, and what I just noticed again today, I don't need much of sleep anyway. Yeah. When people say, "Oh, you have to sleep 8 hours," and was like, "What? So long?" So for me, it's no problem to sleep 3 hours a night only, or maybe don't sleep a night at all. And when I was younger, that was even more extreme. Yeah. So I really went out to parties, came back in the morning, took a shower, and went to my first class in university. No problem with that.
Wow.
And for me, it was very natural. Yeah. And that has stayed with me forever. When I'm really having fun, I don't need much sleep. It's becoming less and less.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what did you go to school for?
I studied languages. I studied focused on linguistics and communication for my mother tongue, which is German. And I also started to study French and Spanish. In the later years, I dropped French and kept Spanish. So I was focused on communication and politics and corporate organizations. And this is where I also, at a later point of my studies, found my first employer, who was a business consulting firm focusing on training as well. For big telecommunication corporations. And there also we're focusing on communication between departments, internal communication, dealing with customers, how to communicate with them. And so I finally got my first job there, even while studying. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. So tell me something. You've grown up in Germany. You felt like you were landed in the wrong home. Then you've moved on now into university. You've really gone into this deep into communications, different languages, phenomenal. I know today you actually work in a recruiting firm.
Yeah.
As well, you've now completely overtly stepped out with what you've always known that you had, was the ability to communicate psychically.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Tell me today, what is really inspiring to you now?
How people come to their choices and decisions. And this is also what inspires me in recruiting. Because, Christine, and I know a bit of your background, careers are pretty much comparable. But what is unique, how people make their decisions and how they create their life based on whatever belief systems they have. And this is something which is inspiring me every day. Yeah. Not in the sense that I have to judge if this is a good decision or a bad decision. I'm just interested in the decisions or choices themselves. Yeah. Because you have so many opportunities these days, and those will be way more as this planet will proceed and evolve. This is really something where I say, wow, yeah. And this is very inspiring for me every day.
So you obviously love watching. It's like you're a people watcher, but you're watching not just the people, but also their choices, right? Like you're standing back enjoying. It's like watching a beautiful bouquet unfold.
Yeah, like a beautiful garden, growing bigger and bigger and more beautiful. And some flowers tend to be what we consider more beautiful, while the next flower maybe has forgot to turn to the sun and maybe will not be so lucky like the other flower. Yeah. And
I love what Rhonda just said about you. She gave you a title. You're a voyeur of choices.
I like that too, and I'm not going to share that much now because you might know that I'm one who is already also remembering former lifetimes, and I also have a clear knowledge of where I'm coming from, which I'm not going to share with you today. And so wherever I am coming from, we are known for being something like historic person and collecting data. Yeah. And so that is somewhere in my nature, really like this observing. Yeah, definitely. But observing without the point of view. Yeah. So every choice is equally valid. I do not have to understand that. Yeah.
Right.
And but I'm happy if people make choices themselves. Yeah. Because many people go through their life and they have the choices made for them. And it's actually the way they want to have it.
Right.
And I'm happy for everybody having the guts to decide and to choose for themselves. I don't have to be in accordance with the choice itself.
No. So tell me, how does your voice contribute to the world today?
Well, first of all, it's unique enough that somebody is still working in a very normal 9-to-5 job and officially and openly promoting that she's a psychic. Yeah. Because that is something which is still a no-no in the corporate world. And I heard it said so beautifully. Unfortunately, it wasn't me, so the credits go to Brian DeFlores, who is a spiritual teacher from Las Vegas. And he says that every corporation should have a psychic on board. And I was like, yes, Brian, that's exactly it. Because we have so much more awareness what's going on in a corporation. Yeah, we can read in between the lines. We can not only sense the energies, but also transform them if needed. And I think we have to be, first of all psychic people have to embrace their abilities way more. And I neglected mine for years. First, I didn't know what it was. Then I was ashamed of it for being so different. Yeah. And today I'm finally at the position where I said, I don't care anymore if anybody thinks I'm weird or I'm crazy or whatever. So be it. It's their choice. But I think there have to be more people really speaking openly and say, yeah, I am clairvoyant, I am clairaudient, I sense and perceive your emotions, and that's fine, that's okay. Let's constructively work with it and not put it down again like it was done for centuries, yeah, or it was just left to very many elite people only. It's something very normal we all have, but we have to embrace it.
Right. So for you, Nicole, when you started to bring this forward, did people pull away from you? Was there any backlash at work? What was the actual outcome?
It's different. Some people simply hear it but don't get it, which is okay. Yeah, so they hear it but they cannot make any sense out of that.
Right.
Which is fine, and they go on. Some people don't take it seriously, which I don't care about. That's actually the majority. But then you have every now and then where you give a hint, and it exactly turns out the way I predicted it. And this is where I only say, maybe listen to me next time. But it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's so unusual still that people have to learn that. But then again, there are other funny incidents because I'm a psychic person who loves to make fun out of myself. And so I scribbled a unicorn on a whiteboard, and then another colleague gave me like a little, I don't know how it's called in English, but something with a unicorn on it. And she was like, oh, I bought it for you. I thought of you when I saw it because it had unicorn on it. And I was like, you're so cute. I love it. Thank you. And it's very unusual. Yeah.
Cool.
It's not really in work, but if I meet other coaches or so-called life coaches, or other spiritual people, they sometimes tend to draw back. And I remember especially one person who had done a class with me in regards to stress prevention. And she frankly told me, I don't know if I should love you or hate you. And I was like, why is that? And she said, I feel you can see right through me, and there is no place to hide because I know you see everything. And I'm afraid that you confront me with all my issues in like the next minute. And we said, hey, I would never do that. You should know me. Yeah. But then again, I remember there in fact are a lot of psychic people who have nothing better to do than shouting all your issues right into the face. That is not what you do. This is not what you do.
Yes. Okay, wow. So we are up to our second break already. We are getting to know Nicole Lellek. She is just like, woo, what a journey. I love it. Okay, so when we get back, I've got some more poignant questions for Nicole, and we're going to see where else we can go with this amazing conversation. You are listening to our Open Mic Spotlight show with myself, Christine McIver. We'll be right back right after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Many of us chose to lose our interest in play and adventure when we were told to finally grow up. What if play and adventure were exactly the parameters we needed to create more than we ever imagined possible? By tuning into Spiritual Adventures radio show with psychic intuitive and life adventure coach Nicole Lellek, you'll receive tools and inspiration to create your life based on exactly that, fun and adventure. Consider this your personal invitation. Listen for Spiritual Adventure Radio Show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Central European Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome, everyone. So today I am speaking with Nicole Lellek, and we've been learning all about Nicole, her childhood, and then really stepping into being both someone in the corporate world doing corporate work and being the psychic that she truly is. So, Nicole, my next question to you is, what is inspiring to you about you?
My diversity. My diversity. I have been made wrong for that a very long time, and also by the metaphysical or spiritual world, actually. Because from when growing up, you are usually told you have to focus on one thing, and I never was that kind of child or later adult. I always, and this is something I innately always knew, is that ideas and innovation is constantly like in the air and floating around. So when you're psychic, you easily pick up on energies and new ideas and innovation. So I always was the child, and today I'm the adult with always the new ideas. And the second part is I'm pretty much interested in everything. Yeah. And you could speak to me about politics, about economy, about religion, about spirituality, about physics, about mathematics, about geometry, you name it. Yeah. I have an interest in everything. Yeah. And this is something reality can't cope with. Yeah.
Right.
Because you have to have something where you're not interested in. And I remember a conversation many years ago, which actually was for my recruiting job. And I had it not even 2 weeks ago when I'm talking to engineers a lot, you have to know, yeah. Because I do technical recruitment, so I'm usually talking to engineers. And one engineer, he was so vague on what he was doing. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, can we stop right here? I said, please treat me as an engineer and stop telling me what I'm doing, what you are doing. And he was like, oh, wow. And then he was speaking in technical terms, I was like, okay, finally, now I get what you're doing all day. And for others, I would be like, oh, wow, this is so boring, and he's working on turbines all day. What the heck is a turbine? Yeah. And so this diversity is actually something I really am inspired every day. And this is something where I have a keen interest in finding out more. Yeah? And I'm also inspired by finding out about how this world ticks, quote unquote, better day by day. Yeah. And so I always
I love
say
that.
yes. Yeah, that I'm on the acceleration fast track, and actually acceleration is one of my most favorite words. And yeah, that's
how cool is that? That's really, really cool. I know we often talk, I often talk with lots of other people, and they're like, what do you do? And I kind of go, okay, because very much like you, I have an interest in so many different things, and I have capacities in so many different things.
Yeah.
And this reality says we need to focus on one thing. Now, Nicole, you talk fast. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. I thought I talked fast. You talk fast. And it shows me you have such a high desire for more, which is phenomenal. I love that. And your excitement and your desire to learn and grow is phenomenal. And it's interesting to me oftentimes that people believe that when we are fast, when we love all these different things, that we actually don't accomplish. What do you say to people when they tell you that you should focus?
Or that we are not profound enough. So there is this myth: if you are fast, you are not thorough. Yeah. Maybe you have, you are not thorough in the work, because many people can't understand that you're really fast and thorough at the same time. In their world, it does not combine. It does not compute simply. And then there are people like you and me who are like, we could get shown a picture of like 1,000 details, and we would remember 999 of them. Yeah, and this is something which is either in your nature or it's not. But again, there is nothing right or wrong. We need every kind of person here on this planet. Yeah? We need the innovative part. We need the creators. We need the people who are constantly labeled like me as being pushy. Am I pushy? Absolutely. Have I made myself wrong for that? Absolutely. Was that right? No, not at all. Yeah. It is just the way I am. But if I create something, there is a point where I say, okay, this is a point where I usually lose interest. Then I need those people who are good in conserving things, or who keep a steady line. So whoever is listening now and say, oh God, she's a fast talker and she has an interest in everything, and I don't. Please don't make yourself wrong for it. You're perfect at every point of your life, just as you are. Every point of your life.
Right. That's fabulous. Okay, so my next question. What is important to you in the world?
Change.
I love that. Everybody else I would stump for a few seconds. You're like a millisecond and you're poof. I know.
Yeah, change. I was next to getting that tattooed on my underarm, but I don't have it tattooed because I have several tattoos. And change. This is
so
something.
You're saying tattoos, right? That's what you're saying is tattoos?
Tattoos, yeah. I wanted to have it. I have several tattoos, and I wanted to have change as a word on one of my arms. But I opted against that. Anyway, that's a side story. Change, why? We are slowly getting into a phase of more accelerated, again that word, accelerated change, and which I was hoping and longing for since I was a child. And we are actually in a very, very interesting phase of transition. The Earth is, we are as humanity, or I know some say humanoids, or you could also see star seeds coming to Earth, or whatever. Yeah, all we are in here in this together, and even though it sometimes feels like a bad camping trip, those are exciting times, because we will see over the next 10 to 20 years many changes in economy, in our financial system. To be honest with you, I wonder that our financial system still is somewhat stable, because I predicted a crash already last fall. It didn't happen, so okay. So a lot of things will crumble, and if you have a close look on the planet right now, you see that a lot of things are already crumbling. Yeah, so old school systems are no longer working. But then again, people preserving the old school systems are fighting. Yeah, because that is the only way they know. Yeah, fight. And the energy on this planet for centuries has been based on fight. Yeah, promoting fear, fight. You have to fight for something in order to get it. But in the higher dimension, this is not how it works. Yeah, but so if we see that in the bigger picture, not only this. The Earth, but also the interconnection with the planet and the energies which are coming from outside. There are faster energies. One here on Earth, we have a lot of, I don't want to really call it stuck energy, but slow energies, and that creates a crash, and then all structures begin to crumble. And this is what you currently see on Earth. And while many people are afraid, I was like, yay, I'm excited. Why? Because after that, things can finally move forward.
Okay, very, very cool. So what are you choosing in your life as far as change goes?
Change for me every day is really destroying and uncreating everything I have done the day before and start the day anew. Yeah, making every day new choices. Getting surprised every day, learning something new every day. Maybe change the location. Again, I moved a lot in my life. I moved in this apartment like 2 months ago, and I still now I again perceive the energy for change is coming in again. And so do I know where it's gonna be like, where we're gonna be? No, not really.
Right.
But I sense again a lot of change in the way I'm working. That is already changing. I work less and less linear. Yeah, I'm working less with to-do lists. I don't really have a to-do list anymore. I work more and more with the energy. And really telling the energy me to, as I always call it, to ping me when something is important. So, and I really literally hear like a little ping in my ear when something is desires attention. And if you start working that way, really working with following the energy, that creates a lot of change. Trust me. Yeah, because every day is really different. You will experience a lot of synchronicities where you're thinking on one thing and it's materialized within 5 minutes. Or you're thinking about meeting someone and you bump right into him on the street even though you haven't seen him for years. And this creates a lot of change. It's not always the big choice. Very often it's a series of small choices, but consistent. Yeah, it's better to do little choices one by the other than one big choice in a week. Yeah, so better try to implement a daily routine for making choices. Yeah, or for those who are a bit afraid of choices, try to do. To break your routine every day with a little thing. Take another way to work. It could be that little that creates a change you don't know before. Yeah, don't assume. We have actually a saying in recruiting which is never assume. This applies to your whole life. Yeah, never assume.
Yes. We have that saying in most things as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Christine, by the end of the day, we're so trained to do that. Yeah. And you really have to make the conscious choice to say, no, I don't assume now. Yeah. I don't add stories. We're great storytellers, all of us. But the story is which creates the fuss, huh?
Have you heard what assume stands for?
Somebody told me. Say again.
So assume stands for when you assume something, you make an ass out of you and me.
Ah, yeah, I heard that once. Yeah. Okay, now assume, folks.
That's right. So on that note, we're going to take our final break, and then we're going to come back and wrap up this conversation with Nicole. Stay tuned, everyone. You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show with myself, Christine McIver, and my guest, Nicole Lellek. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Many of us chose to lose our interest in play and adventure when we were told to finally grow up. What if play and adventure were exactly the parameters we needed to create more than we ever imagined possible? By tuning into Spiritual Adventures radio show with psychic intuitive and life adventure coach Nicole Lellek, you'll receive tools and inspiration to create your life based on exactly that, fun and adventure. Consider this your personal invitation. Listen for Spiritual Adventure Radio Show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Central European Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. So today we're speaking with Nicole Lellek. If you're just joining us, you do need to go back and listen to the previous part of this interview. We've been having a lot of fun getting to know her. So, Nicole, I'd like to ask you this question. You've shown us a lot. You've talked to us a lot about who you are and what you've been creating, where you came from, what's important to you. What is your message for 2017 for the world?
Build your foundation. I know you're in an access consciousness, and I heard somebody else, not you, asking, like, wow, there are so many foundations this year to be created. I wonder why is that? And I was like, okay, I could give you an answer to that. So we have to look at the numbers. By the way, I love numbers. So the year of 2017, if you add the numbers, what would it be? Which number is it?
10.
Like if you add, yeah, exactly. And so 1 plus 0 is 1. Yeah, so we're in the so-called 1 year, and 1 stands for building your foundation. Building your foundation means find out who you really are and which part and aspects of you might have borrowed or acquired from other people, but that actually do not belong to you. This is something I can highly recommend everybody find out which parts and aspects are really yours and uniquely yours and which aren't. You can always give those other aspects that don't belong to you. You can give that back, return that to the sender, or somewhere else. But you can cut cords. There are many ways of getting rid of that aspect. Yeah. This is something you definitely should have a look at. Building your foundation also means to me is find out where you want to live. Yeah, so I told before the break, I have the feeling that for me that it means moving again. And I also sense that after that, it won't be moving for a long time. Yeah. So when you have the feeling that you might not be at the right place, right place could mean the right town or the right apartment or the right house. I would highly recommend have a look on the market and first have a serious talk with yourself where you really want to go to, yeah, and where you really do want to live. And don't limit yourself in that regards. If you want to live in another country, you will find a way to live in that other country, despite visa regulation, etc. And so forget about all the, let's call it administration stuff in case you want to go somewhere else. It will take care of itself. Yeah. But then again, we're also very often taught to be linear. Yeah. So that we have to pay attention that it's in your budget and that you got your papers right and stuff like that. Yeah. But really, seriously ask yourself, where do you want to live? What do you want to do in your living? And it could be multiple things. It's not restricted to one job. Yeah. What else is impossible? A solid foundation is also have a close look with whom you surround yourself. Yeah. And also that is in a transition for a lot of people. And I experienced that myself as I'm constantly growing, and I really do consciously focus on constant growth. You come across new people very often, but very many people do not stay. Yeah? They either come with you or they don't. And again, that's their choice. Yeah? And if they do not want to move along the path you have chosen because it's not their path, that's fine. Yeah? But again, also here we are taught otherwise. Once you have made a connection or a relationship or a love relationship or even a marriage, that has to stay. That's conditioned. Yeah, really check on all the parameters: your living situation, your job situation, your financial situation, and find out what is your solid foundation. That's my recommendation for this year.
Very, very cool. So, Nicole, you are on the Inspired Choices Network. You've become a host here. We're so happy to have you. Tell the people what you're enjoying about doing the spiritual adventures for you.
Yeah, spiritual adventures came to me out of the blue because I got hints like doing a radio show like every second corner, and you have to know I never have listened to radio before, yeah, and so I didn't even listen to radio. And then suddenly the idea came up, hey, let's do a radio show. You actually have to share something with the world. So I reached out to you, and here I am, Spiritual Adventures. So what is Spiritual Adventures? It's very easily explained because spirit is what we are. We are spirits in a human body, in a human form. Yeah? But this human form or this body is the tiniest bit of what you can imagine to what we all really are. Yeah, so we are spirits, hence spiritual. Adventures is what we're undergoing on this lovely planet here. It's a series of adventures. Some we consider good, others we consider bad. And but adventure for me also has a sense of curiosity, of a childlike playfulness, and testing things, but don't expect them to be turning out like what we consider perfect. Yeah, so really a bit like a playground. And and this is what the show wants to be.
Very cool.
A little bit of a spiritual playground. Yeah,
awesome.
Where my adventures, maybe your adventures, who wants to be a guest, their adventures. Whatever the show desires and requires.
Nicole, we're just about done here. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to get in touch with Nicole, you can find her here on the Inspired Choices Network. Her link will also be in this replay. Have an amazing day, everyone, and enjoy finding your foundation, as Nicole shared with us. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Radio Show. We will be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, continue to create you with joy and inspiration.